Hey, what's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. The Giants dropped the series in Baltimore. We're going to break down the games and keep trying to get to the bottom of this ice cold start we're experiencing for the Orange and Black. Before we get started, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Mancini's is now the official sleep partner of the San Francisco Giants because great performance starts with great sleep. You can save up to 40% off top brands like Beautyrest, plus Tempur-Pedic starting at $29 a month. Stop by or visit online to see what's currently available. All right, Alex, the Giants lose 2 out of 3 in Baltimore, continuing this cold streak, but ice cold streak against the American League East. Thank goodness it's not a division we see often.
Yeah, also continuing their streak of like, if we podcasted Friday night, we'd be like, okay, everything's kind of back to normal. And then
I know exactly what you mean. They're picking on us.
They are not making it easy on the podcast. But by the way, I saw you went to Finnerty's.
Yes, I was in New York for the past few days, just a little boys trip, and I went to Finnerty's. Of course, the night we were free to do that was a Giants off night. So we just went. It was like 1 a.m. We shut the place down. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I thought you watched the one win.
No, if only, right? No, we had a blast. I had never been to Finnerty's. I hadn't even been to New York since I was a child. So this was a lot of fun. And I thought it was funny how many just like New Yorkers were at Finnerty's, and we said we were there because it was a San Francisco Giants bar, and they were surprised that they had no idea, despite the bobbleheads and World Series magazines or newspapers on the wall. No idea it had anything to do with San Francisco.
The new Finnerty's.
The new Finnerty's right across from the Empire State Building.
It's a great spot. Did they have a copy of the franchise, or do I need to send them one?
I don't recall seeing a copy of the franchise. Now, that's not to say it wasn't there. The night did get late.
Okay. You forgot some of what you saw.
Yes, I'm certain I did. They had the Kook and Kev Tiki mugs up. They had a lot of bobbleheads, magazines. It was really cool. Really, really cool experience.
Yeah, I want to go to the new one. That was our way of filibustering because the last 2 games were similar to some of what we've seen earlier this season.
Yes, all the concerns remain, the complaints remain, the silver linings are not developing. Giants are tied with the Rockies for worst record in the National League, which is not a place you ever want to be. Avoid being in the same sentence with the Rockies whenever possible.
Yeah, you don't want to be there in the division, nonetheless the whole National League.
Yep.
And I think they have the worst run differential still in the National League. If not, I don't think it's baseball. I think the White Sox are helping them. But
and that's usually when the Giants have a really bad run differential, you can point to it being either the pitching or the offense. But it really feels like it's been a juggling act of either working correctly.
I'm going to stand by what I said, I think, like a week and a half ago, where it's really hard to figure out what this team does well.
Yeah.
And there was like stretches where you like during the Philly series, all of a sudden it's like, all right, they can pitch. But the pitching hasn't been totally there either. So
yeah,
it's a real identity crisis right now.
That's a good way of putting it, an identity crisis. Who is this team? What are we trying to get out of this team? Because I feel like obviously we've talked about how difficult of a month April was going to be overall, and it's Tony's first start, but any of the predictions of what we were hoping for have obviously gone out the window.
Yeah, my bold predictions are not doing great. I think that we've harped on this a lot, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of this series, but I just think it goes back to like, yeah, it's a tough early schedule, but you'd like to see them. It's one thing if you're like losing these games 3-2 and you're like, you know what, the dude on the other side was real. Max Fried got us, or it's just been a lot of games like Sunday where it's just a little. There's all these things, different things you could point to, which we can. Just hasn't been good baseball for the most part, other than like 18 innings against the Phillies.
It kind of we've worried so much about the bullpen that it has felt like it's gotten away from the team early. In most of these losses, maybe that feels that way because the offense, it feels so unable to come back from any early deficits. But yeah, I mean, of all the things going wrong, I guess it would make sense here on Giants Talk to kind of podium a few. take our ones we're most concerned about and go from there, right?
Let's do it. Let's hit me with all the things going wrong, and we'll
I
see what we're most concerned about.
This is not the flavor of Giants talk we want to be doing, but it's what we have to be doing when the team's playing like this. And the number one concern on the list, or at least the first one we're going to address here, I think is one that you absolutely do not want to be having to deal with. It's something you hope you can just set and forget, and have, even if it's the only thing going right, have be going right, and that's Logan Webb. Logan Webb, the team's ace, one of the faces of the team, all reliable on this roster for so long, has now a over 5 ERA for his through his first 4 starts, another loss on the docket, and just doesn't seem to have the Logan Webb stuff that makes him, I don't know, a always in the conversation Cy Young guy for the past few years.
Yeah, his searching, I think he was, he has been all season, but we especially noticed in San Diego where he's just I'm looking for it, looking for his old self. So we always talk about when they score like 1 run for him, and it's like, well, you wasted a Logan start. They kind of wasted a few early on here, which you don't ever want to do, because you never want to take it for granted that there's 220 innings and 34 starts and whatever it ends up being, or 200 innings, whatever. So they've wasted a few here early on, and I think he's been part of that. He's been open about that. You hate to give those games away and that one was, that there was some weird stuff happening in that one when he gave up the runs, but still, I think anytime his turn comes around, and especially where they were and seem to have turned things around a little bit, and then you're like, well, Logan's on the mound on Saturday, so
don't have to worry about that one.
Yeah, you'll be okay. And then you go Sunday, try to get the sweep. So it's not high on my level of concern. The other things here are higher, but certainly a bit of a wasted first few weeks here, and not being and even like having the way the schedule was, you were able to use him twice early on, move Hauser back. So they've had some opportunities here to get off to a hot start with him, and just hasn't been there. I know some of the advanced stuff is better, but we've talked about it, like it's going to take a long time to cut that ERA down, which is still like a number that's up there on the scoreboard. So,
well, let's just hope we get to that point where he's worried about chipping away at that ERA, and the it being stacking up losses and figuring his stuff out is a conversation of the past, because we really want the old Logan Webb back.
Yeah, he's still, I go back to like July of last year, which was really rough for him, and he just has these stretches, and we haven't really seen it at the start of the year as much in his career. But yeah, he's low on my list of concerns until this reaches like 6 or 8 starts, where you're like, okay, where is the dude?
For the next one, I'm going to kind of cheat, because I wanted to talk about Elliot Ramos. I wanted to talk about Jung-Hoo Lee, and it really starts to make sense that we just talk about the Giants outfield all together, because this is a 3-man spot that is pretty much set on opening day. There's options in AAA, none of whom feel like they are big league starters compared to these guys. But now here we are 2 weeks into the year, and I don't know, is it time to mix it up? We have Harrison Bader hitting 115. Jung-Hoo Lee just has not looked like, I don't want to be the hot take guy, but hasn't looked like a big leaguer much this year. And then Elliot Ramos not looking like himself either.
Spicy.
Yeah. But who am I? I came back from New York with a chip on my shoulder, man. I'm walking here.
This group is negative 1.4 wins above replacement from the Giants outfield so far this season, which, if you're not an advanced analytics guy, that's not good.
It's not ideal. Certainly not.
You don't want to be negative with one player, and for the whole group to be pulling him down. Yeah, they haven't hit at all. I mean, Bader's kind of gone under the radar a little bit because there's been some higher profile issues. He's hitting 115. Ramos, he has 4 hits in the series, raises his numbers a little bit. He's slugging 276 this year. So just for a guy who, I don't know if we ended up making a bold prediction about how many guys hit 30, but I think we kind of like tossed it around.
Yeah, I think we let the fans pick that one, and 30 guys was what they landed on.
And you always kind of throw his name in that mix. Like, hey, Elliott could do it too if he has the right season. Like, there's been no power from him at all. And then Jung-Hoo Lee, he hit some on Friday, but overall hitting 185, OPS well under 600. And you start to get a pretty big. I think you're correct. You start to get a pretty big sample here, where it's like, okay, you kind of wiped away the first year because of the injury.
Mhm.
Last year, it's like his first full season. At some point, you start to add it all together and go like, hey, he's coming up on like 200 big league games or whatever it is at,
Yeah.
and still kind of waiting. So, other than when he went to Finnerty's, and I don't know if he went to Finnerty's, but he went to Yankee Stadium and
Yeah.
had that series, like, just still kind of waiting for this guy to join the party. So overall, it's been rough. I think we have some mailbag questions about what to do there, so we can get to that now. I mean,
Well, first of all, I wanted to bring up, could you imagine the disaster if he just absolutely figures it out next year and then exercises the opt-out?
yeah, I I think the opt out's probably
I think
not
that
so concerned.
they can sign the ink on that one now.
Yeah, he could probably, yeah. I mean, we've talked about that of like, hey, there's a sneaky opt out here.
Yeah.
Um, it's just been rough, and it's kind of just the same thing we saw last year. So, and then Bader, I think, is concerning because this is, I mean, he's not 115, but he hasn't hit really other than like a couple
Mhm.
months last year. Went to Philly, caught fire, and I talking to some Philly people when they were in for that series, they were a little bit like, yeah, there was some concern about, you know, did this guy just catch fire for a little bit? And
Yeah.
at the Giants, I remember Buster saying like, we think there's some things in his approach that he's fixed, and we really think he's made some changes, and it just hasn't been there at all. So, um, it's a rough go, and this team is built around the infield, but you can't have nothing from the outfield. Like
Yes.
you could you could get away with, if the infield hit, you could get away with these guys being less than what you would hope, but they're like, it's been a negative.
Yeah, a negative WAR from an outfield on a team like this is not an option.
Yeah,
I
not gonna get it.
obviously these are guys that have contracts that they're not going to get replaced. But you start to look around, the infield doesn't really have any options to shake
Yeah.
things up with. So maybe the outfield is a spot where we do see a call up, see a mix it up.
Yeah, I think, we have a good mailbag question about this, so I'll
Okay,
wait
it's
at the outfield conversation. But this is, if we're doing level of concern, not very concerned about Logan. I'm pretty concerned about this group because, one of the guys, the center fielder, this is he hasn't hit much
Mhm.
he hasn't hit as much as he did last year. And then the other two guys, this kind of is a continuation of parts of last year, where for Lee, it's parts of 2 years, but for Ramos, it's, last year was not what we expected. So,
Yeah.
this is a group that really, if anybody, and I haven't looked at the weather in Cincinnati, but it's a great place to hit. If anybody could use 3 days there, it is this outfield group, which is, get going.
I was watching a game on TV with my wife, and Bader came into the box, and she was like, "Ooh, look at this guy! He's a home run guy, right? Look, because he's so built." And I was like, "Babe, he's not really doing anything at the plate right now."
I know it's funny too when guys are like, they have all the swagger.
Yes.
And you're like, well, all right.
Yeah.
You look
Well,
up and see 115.
yeah, the greats have short what is it? Short memories, Alex.
Yeah, it's a little tough. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
So
he's been, yeah, he's high. Yeah, the outfield's high on my level of concern, just because you can kind of, something would have to go really weird for Logan to not figure this out. Like,
yeah, I mean, the
next
worst
guy's
case
Devers.
scenario of Logan is higher than the worst case scenario of the outfield, but I don't think that's likely at all.
Yeah, and the next guy we'll talk about, Devers. Like, I don't think it's likely that he's this guy, but
Yeah.
you look at the outfield and you kind of go like, yeah, I could see this outfield being not very good.
Mhm.
So,
All right. Well, with that, let's get to Rafi Devers. He's got 2 home runs on the year. He's not smoking the skin off the ball like we had hoped. We really touted all offseason long that, remember, they got a guy, and it was
yeah,
him. So when we talk about lack of signings, we want to be able to fold the Rafi Devers trade into that, even though it was mid-year last year, but haven't seen a ton from him so far this year.
it's not just us talking. It's like the Giants' whole plan was
Yes.
Devers is, a full season of Devers, and you might be disappointed with everything else that went on, but it's the full season of Devers. And I would sit there the first couple weeks of spring training and watch him take batting practice and go like, this must be similar to what it was like watching Barry Bonds take batting
Mhm.
practice here in like 04, 05, 06, whatever. So it just hasn't been there. I'm not that concerned because he's gotten off to some slow starts in the past. Much worse, I think, last year. But yeah, it is, you kind of want to. I think we talked about this with Bailey. Like you have the Bailey conversation. You have the outfield's a little bit different than Bailey because he's purely there for defense. But
Mhm.
at some point, it comes down to like if Devers is this guy, like you have no shot anyway.
Yep.
So like in Adames has picked it up and Chapman's gotten off to a good start. But this lineup's really built around some of these guys who are Rafi Devers, Junghoo Lee, like Elliott's supposed to be part of this. I mean, he's a top 5-6 hitter for him. So if these guys aren't hitting like it, the rest of it doesn't really matter. You can do your talk radio segments on Patrick Bailey, but
Mhm.
it it's a waste of space. Like it should be about Devers. So
Yeah.
the track record's long. The talent's there. I'm not that concerned, but it is like if you want to pinpoint specific reasons for why they are where they are, like he is pretty high up on the list of
Do
you are supposed to be the superstar here.
Do you feel the specter of James Tibbs looming over that conversation as well? Because that also is just like, it's a part we don't want to talk about. They have to make that trade. You can't rely on prospects. But if this becomes like an all-time burn, and would also due to circumstances out of their control because of where he ended up, just would be something you dive deep into in the franchise too.
Well, I think the thing with Devers right now is, there was always a chance that like 4 or 5 years down the line, you go like, man, Kyle turned into a pretty good pitcher. Tibbs was a first rounder. He turned into a pretty good player. There's a lot of money left on this Devers deal. But you kind of expect like 26. It was a win now move. Like you expected 25 and it didn't work out for him. But you especially, I think, expect 26, 27, 28. Like he's in the heart of everything you do. And you expect 35, 40 homers. You expect all-star numbers. I think we saw him better at first base last year. So he's supposed to lead the way in 26, especially. Like it's Devers, it's Adames, and we've had this conversation in the past. Like there is a bill coming due at some point on this group that's going to be ugly, and they better hope that Gonzalez and Hernandez and Level and Keelan and all these guys are ready to really contribute because it's going to have to balance out the payroll.
Yep.
But you don't expect it in 26. Like they're all still right in their prime. And
yeah, it's too early for this to be what we're feeling.
Yeah, so nobody in that group they can't afford any of them to have a bad year this year because they're in win now mode with all those guys.
Yeah. All right, we kind of a concern. We've already talked. Well, I guess first we gotta rank Devers. What do you think? Under the outfield, above Webb? Parallel with Webb?
Correct. I think that's correct.
Okay. Next one, just the general lack of power. We have bold predictions from you, from me, from listeners, really tied up in the Giants hitting home runs that are not happening right now. Even their best hitter does not have a home run to him. Of course, talking about Daniel Susac.
Yes.
Where do we think? I mean, where are they in the MLB? Are they where I'm going to guess they are in homers?
Are you going to guess dead last?
I'm going to guess dead last, Alex.
They have 8 homers on the year.
That has to be dead last.
It's not. It is very, very far from my bold prediction of 200 home runs.
Yeah,
as a group. And yeah, this is again. Sometimes I look at the ballparks and I go like, man, if you guys can't get right in Cincinnati for 3 days and start putting some balls out of the yard, then you got some real issues here. So yes. I think this will stabilize. I mean, we saw last year with Willie how slow his start was, and then he ends up with 30. I think he's hit a ton of doubles at some point. Some of those turn into homers. But yeah, they're not built around speed. So
they're not hitting the long ball, then it's not really the machine isn't working.
Yeah, and they're not really yet built around bat control other than really one guy. So a lot of the guys in this group, like you could pretty comfortably expect 35, 40 from Devers, 30 from Adames, I think 25, 30-ish from Chapman. 20, 25 from Ramos. Like, you hope Lee becomes 10, 15. So, like, you add it up, and there should be a lot of home runs from this group. And so far, the power just has not been there, other than, a fair amount of doubles, which great for people who celebrate doubles like me, but it's not helping them as much as we saw what a game changer it was when Devers hit the 3-run bomb in San Francisco, and that just hasn't been there at all. So
for comparison, the pitchers have given up 14, so almost doubled the number the Giants have hit.
Yeah, it's not, and I think there's like individuals, like I feel like Jordan Walker has like 7. So it's
he's surpassing an entire team in the Giants almost.
Yeah, I don't know where to rank the concern on this one, because these things can be fluky, and all of a sudden you get hot, you go to Coors Field or something, and all of a sudden guys get going, and guys generally end up home run wise where you would expect. But to have 8 through 16 games, not great. So I mean, there's multiple guys in, like, Walker's at 7, Yordan Alvarez is at 6, Gunnar Henderson's at 6. So not what we expected.
I don't want to burn a whole segment of content now, so I want to preface it by we will get to this, but I really hope there's some people in AAA who are showing power right now that we can look forward to seeing. And we'll get to that. It's possible the answer is no.
We'll get to solutions.
Yes. One more lack of power. Are we just calling that like Devers B?
Yeah.
I do feel like that those are kind of tied in. Obviously, if the lack of power on the whole team sustains for the year, that is not going to be a good sign for Devers being the Devers we want.
Yeah, I think lack of power, it's medium concern for me so far. But kind of Devers B, good way to put it.
And then one more in the bullpen. This one, kind of, we knew going into the year, this would be the discussion point. I think we had hoped it would be the number one discussion point at this time into the year, the number one concern, much more so than Logan Webb, the outfield Devers, and the lack of power. I don't think it's better than we expected, but is this even like part of the same discussion just because it's not surprising in any way?
Yeah, I think this is, where's your level of concern on this one? I mean, they're 4.64 ERA, 4.67 FIP. So like that kind of matches. It's been a bottom 10 bullpen.
Yes.
You see flashes, like you see flashes of guys who look like they're really part of the solution. They haven't put it together yet. I think this is like the same level of concern I had before the season, that, you thought it was just going to make it difficult for them at times. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the Devers not hitting, the outfield not hitting, them not hitting for any power. They just can't be in 2-2 games in like the 6th inning right now. So wherever some of these games have been, it's just, they're just not built for that. And so it's the level of concern for me. I put it about where I was before the year, which was concern. I think I'll put it right below the outfield, because the outfields look rough.
Yes.
It's also like there's not many solutions there, especially with the 2 guys in center and right are pretty well compensated right now.
Yes.
So, I think that I'll put the bullpen. I think they will find solutions there over the course of the year, but it has been kind of what everyone expected in the offseason, which is that it's going to be inconsistent, and it's going to be a mix and match situation. And I don't know that it like cost them a game in Baltimore, but it put some games out of reach. And I think the problem is this is not a team that's good enough in other areas right now where you go like, you can cough up a few as you try to figure this out. So we've hammered the bullpen a lot. I think there's been some promising performances there, but it's kind of what we expected so far.
It's also being kind of buried by the struggles elsewhere. Like if the Giants were just rolling on all cylinders but that, and the bullpen was giving up wins left and right, coming into the game when Webb leaves like 3-0 and blowing that, it would feel a lot different. But right now it's almost like Patrick Bailey's hitting for me. It's like, is it concerning? Sure. But is it also like what I expected going into this season? Yeah.
Yeah, they very rarely have like an actual lead to hold.
Exactly. So like if the bullpen was performing like this with coming in with leads, then probably our number one concern. But we don't really have to worry about that right now.
Yeah, I think we get to them here because there was, a couple games over the weekend where they just I think it was 4 total runs they give up in the late innings, and it's just, giving a little bit back and making them a little bit harder to come back, but not that they're coming back anyway. So
exactly.
The bullpen's about who we expected them to be. But if I had to rank these 5, that sour New York Cole was
yeah.
Outfield is my biggest concern right now.
Okay.
Because it's more immediate. The bullpen, because it's something we've talked about. And then kind of Devers and Power right there is like, hey, it's, you're 16 games in, so you're starting to get to a point where you want to see something. And then Webb, I still am not very concerned because it's been 4 starts. And good, but it all adds up to where they're at, which is not great.
I think my ranking is very close to that, but I'm going to put the lack of power up a few slots. I'm going to put that at my number 2, kind of separating it from Devers, but everyone else needs to be turning on the home run faucet as well. And yeah, like I said, I just can't get too bent out of shape about the bullpen because it was such a big concern coming into this season.
You don't think they're going to hit 200 homers?
Alex, if they do, we are going to have a celebration like you've never seen here on Giants Talk.
150? 130?
Let's look at triple digits and then we'll go from there.
100? Yeah, I think also like it's I don't even remember a lot of, this is kind of off the top of my head in the morning. I don't even remember a lot of like, oh, he got robbed. Like a lot of like,
oh, he hit it to the deepest part of the park.
He smoked that to the deepest part of the park, or he hit that off the top of the wall. It's been a lot of doubles, but a lot of like doubles to the corners, but not a lot of pull power so far. Not a lot of, It has. I don't even think anyone can particularly say like I should have 5 homers right now. I've been ripped off.
Yeah. No.
So
that's it would be a little easier if you could say that, right?
You turn me. I'm gonna pull power up a little bit because it's just been it's not there.
Great. All right. Stepping away from our sour concerns, Alex, there was a few cooler, interesting things that happened this series that are worth talking about. Casey Schmidt, number one, big Schmidt heads over here on this podcast. Casey is on fire. I have seen some wild hot takes about what they should be doing to, put him in the starting lineup instead of Devers. But at the end of the day, if Casey's hitting, it does make sense for fans to want to see him.
Is Casey now our new like Brandon Belt, where I feel like the takes on either side are like
just wild.
It's wild on one side, and then as soon as he goes 0 for 7 over 2 games, people want him like DFA'd.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I get big Belt Wars energy from Casey Schmidt discourse.
He's been great. And he's been, and I think this is, as wrong as you and I have been about a lot of things, I think this is a podcast that has over the years believed in Casey's talent. And I said this all off season. He was going to be a big part of what they do. I said this all spring. He was going to be a big part of it. OPS over 1,000. 368 average. I mean, you don't expect these numbers from Casey, but he's been really good. And I think, unfortunately for him, it was such a high profile thing in San Diego, and it kind of colored the way his season started. And then he has the back thing, and to come back and do this the last week and just be like, hey, I'm part of this, and I'm going to be part of this. And I feel like they maybe gave up on him at first base too fast.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't great, but he's a good defender, and I think he'll figure it out over there. And I don't know if I'm curious to see if they rotate him in a little bit with Devers more over the next. I don't know that anybody else should be over there, but like it was a very high profile thing with Chapman, and I think it was a bad day for Casey. And I think he can figure it out over there. So I don't know that he needs to be a DH, but
no, I don't think it makes any sense to have Casey Schmidt as a DH, but they got to figure out how to get that in. Now, mailbag question real quick before we get to our overall mailbag segment from Troy. Troy says, has Casey Schmidt taken any fly balls in the outfield?
Great question. I haven't ever seen it. I asked him early in the year if he was prepping for that at all. He said no. I wonder if we see it anytime soon.
Yeah,
Like,
he seems like he has the talent, the natural like ability with a glove.
this goes back to like left field's not very hard.
Yeah.
Like, we have an Eldridge question. We'll get to that, but this is more of like, if we had this whole conversation about Susac. Like, if this is for real, what do you do?
Mhm,
And with Casey, I go back to the same thing. Like, he's a high round draft pick. We've seen flashes in the past. He continues
mhm,
to get better. If he keeps hitting, what do you do if you don't have, if Eldridge comes up? And there's other ways to do this. I mean, Arias has played some outfield in the past. Not that they're going to throw him out there. Like,
mhm.
there's other ways to do this, but I do think at some point you look around and you go like, huh, well, Arias has been really good. Devers is Devers. Eldridge is going to be up at some point. Casey's, and you have all these guys in the infield, and it's like, who can you throw out there in left field to maybe get another bat out there down the line if these guys are hitting? So it's a good question. I haven't seen it yet. I know it wasn't talked to him, at least like a week ago. That wasn't in the conversation at all. But would I be shocked if sometime in the next couple of weeks we all of a sudden see him out there with like taking some
Yeah.
fly balls just to get comfortable? No, I wouldn't be.
I'm gonna pop a trivia on you, Alex. What was his two positions in college? He was a third baseman and blank.
Closer.
Closer. He has a SDSU
Yeah.
freshman record for an 0.28 ERA.
I remember him and I have joked about this over the times. Like, he has some sprint speeds that are a little bit faster than you would think,
Mhm.
especially early in his career. Hasn't as much, not as much lately, but like, yeah, it's not a horrible. I don't think it's out of the question.
Yeah.
Now let's see if he can keep this up, because we've seen Casey's hot streaks in the past.
Exactly.
So,
We've seen Casey's and other Giants infielders hot streaks, and
yeah,
they don't always add up to a ton after that's
yeah.
over.
But it's a good, it's like last year. I remember we were in Houston, and all of a sudden I look out during BP, and he's taking grounders at first.
Mhm.
Like, what is this? And then he plays first base the next night.
Yeah.
So, not out of the question.
Keep an eye out. All right. Other notable from the series is Luis Arias day to day after a really weird play at second base.
Yeah.
Like, just I saw people calling this dirty. Just seemed like one of those flukes of baseball weirdness to me. Pretty much the worst possible way the incident could have gone is exactly how it happened.
I thought I was taking crazy pills, because I saw all these people calling for, throw at him the next time, or like, it was this. I'm like, I thought it was pretty clear he tried to jump over the ball.
Yeah, it'd be what I mean, if he was gonna play that dirty, you just kind of like body the
Run
second
into
baseman, right? You don't jump up and like ninja kick him from the side.
Yeah, it wasn't like, did you see Machado a week ago when someone tried to backpick him and
Mhm.
midair adjusted and kicked the ball into the dugout? Like, this was not that. This
Yeah.
was, I thought it was like, you nailed it perfectly. Like, this was the worst possible way that specific play could go. And I also thought, I mean, such a big deal was made out of it afterwards. Like, they weren't turning two at all.
Yeah.
So, they ultimately end up with a guy on first, which is, I thought about the best case scenario there for the Giants as well. So, they weren't turning two there. So yeah, weird play. Luckily, Arias seems like he'll be okay by like Tuesday. But
Yeah, that's the one concern, is one of the only guys on the team who has actually been hitting somewhat all year long, getting just absolutely fluke injured would be exactly what happens.
I kind of saw it the way you did. So
yeah. And then one more discussion point. I think everyone knows this one is the Daniel Susac magic continues. He puts the Giants on the board the other night, up to 7 hits and 11 at bats. Just like it's nice having this fun glimmer to follow, throughout the dusk and the darkness here. So far at the start of this season, there's this one thing that we can latch on to.
You know what? To be fair to us, like, I feel like we have to do this. Like, it's not.
Yeah, we get accused of being homers and upbeat and too positive, and I do feel like we have this in us, and we're willing to do it.
Oh no, I just think like after the way this has been, like, I joke about, like, hey, dark Monday morning podcasts. Like,
Yeah, maybe it's
I don't
tradition. Maybe people know that Mondays are going to be grimy and Thursday episodes a little more fun.
I also just don't know that, like, I don't know if anyone's on their commute home right now or whatever is going like, man, wish they had talked more about what's going right. So that was
Yes, I wish they'd done a 10-minute podcast.
yeah. But the bright spot here is Daniel Susac. Very notable Saturday. I'll just read straight from the box score here. Ryan Helsley on the mound, 9th inning. Offensive substitution. Pinch hitter Daniel Susac replaces Patrick Bailey.
All right.
That is right on right. He
Mhm.
hits into a double play. So not anything. But the notable part is the actual move there, which
They
is
did it.
exactly. It is a step in this direction, which the first step was giving him all lefties. The second step is an understanding that, like, hey, we kind of like your bat here better
Mhm.
in the 9th. And remember, Bailey, the one spot he succeeded last year was late in games. So that I thought was a really notable thing on Saturday. And we'll see how going forward how much of that there is. But the sample size gets bigger and bigger with this guy. And there's been some seeing eye ground balls and a little bit of luck here, but he's putting the ball in play. And I think, I've liked what I've seen defensively. Love the old Benito Santiago throw from the knees on Sunday. So
Fantastic.
it was and that was that was kind of his thing in spring training. They were all
Mhm.
over and over talking about the arm strength. So yeah, it's been good. It's been a real bright spot.
With 6 games in 12 plate appearances, he has one of the highest WARs on the team, according to Baseball Reference. So just keep talking about it.
Where's he at compared to
0.5.
the entire
Adonis
house?
is at 0.5, and Ray is at 0.7.
Riding a 700 BABIP.
That's something.
Not usually sustainable, but no, he's good. I really think the fact he's just putting the ball in play is such a key factor here, and especially for this team.
It will be fascinating to see how long this goes on. I'm here for it. I'm ready to ride this wave, but yeah, it can't be sustainable, or can it?
I'm more fascinated to see over the next 6 games, and they're facing 3 righties in Cincinnati. Like, what's the split here for Tony?
Yeah.
And when do you mix it in a little bit more?
Yeah. All right. Keeping an eye on this. All right. We have a few more mailbag questions for today's episode before we get to the Giants playing the Reds in Cincinnati. Before we go any further, though, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Mancini's is now the official sleep partner of the San Francisco Giants because great performance starts with great sleep. Your purchase is backed by their 365-night comfort guarantee, which gives you a whole year to try your mattress and make sure it's giving you the comfort you deserve. Stop by or visit online to see what's currently available. Boys trip, New York hotel. I was so excited to get back to my mattress. I was sharing a bed this weekend and not with my wife.
I've done that.
Yep.
Done that. There was a trip to Hong Kong one time where we just had like the overnight, landed at like really weird hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was 4 of us, and we get to the hotel and there's one big bed, and we're like, okay,
we're doing it. One big bed.
There we go. So boys trip.
Yeah. Nothing like it.
Everyone lie like a log.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had 2 twins, and somehow I ended up sharing every night. I didn't get the solo bed once.
Boys trip.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. You're like, hey, I got a podcast on Monday about this team that's 6-10. Come on.
Yes. No, they got to play the "we have young kids" card, and I don't get that one.
I will say, I thought you had graduated from. You got to at some point be like, hey, no longer. I guess New York is so insane.
It's so insane, and I hate spending money so much that I'm willing to sacrifice comfort when I have to.
Yeah, at some point in my life, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
We're getting another hotel room here.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right. Sometime around the time I got to NBC.
We've got mailbag questions. I apologize to everyone who has been sending them to me. I have probably about 30 or 40 Instagram messages with mailbag questions that I need to add to our log. So I will get back to you. I'll add those here. If you have any other questions, feel free to send them our way anywhere you can find us on social media. Let's start today with Carlos. Alex, Carlos says, you guys have talked a lot about the Barucki spot. Why are the Giants going with 3 left-handers anyway?
It's kind of the way they wanted it all spring. I think it's Tony's preferred way. I would imagine part of that is Frank Anderson, Justin Message, all those guys. Yeah, they preferred it. A lot of times we'll see 6 and 2, or sometimes you see 7 and 1. They wanted the 3. I think they want to play the matchups. The good news here is Sam Hench has started a rehab assignment. So he's probably going to be their third pretty soon. So it should be Hench's, Gage, and Miller at some point soon. We'll see where it goes with Barucki. Continues to be a little bit of a struggle for him. But Hench's is a guy they really felt good about in the offseason. I've talked to like Stephen Vogt about him, and he's like that. He loves that guy. So it's a sneaky thing that happened in spring training, and not that it would solve all their bullpen problems, but him just being behind.
Hey, the Vogt seal of approval, that carries some weight around here.
It does carry some weight. He's given it multiple times on that guy.
Next question from Noah. Really simple one. 3 words. Where is Eldridge?
Getting rained out all weekend.
Yeah.
He is in AAA. He's at 13 games, 182 WRC plus, which is good. Walk rate is still high. Strikeout rate still above 30. So that's something they're watching. I checked in on him recently. Did not sound like anything was imminent, but that was before the last 2 Orioles games. So I don't think you veer from your plan for him based on what's happening at the big league level, especially like Casey can DH for the next few days. And you're actually kind of okay in the Eldridge spot. But yeah, the longer this goes, I've watched a lot of his at-bats in AAA, and like it's good. It's not like dominant yet.
Is that what they're waiting for? Is the dominant adjective?
A sustained stretch of dominance. And I also think one thing is, sometimes I look at these AAA meatballs that guys are getting and go like, that's just not there in the big leagues. So
so if the guy has 3 home runs, they might not be off of 3 big league pitches.
Yeah, and I mean, he's doing the same thing. Walk rates high, exit velocities are good, but I think they're viewing every single pitch and going like, hey, you know what happens when you get to the big leagues? Like, they're going to try to get you down at the knees. And, the pitches you've struck out on at the big league level. So how many of those are you facing in AAA? So, they're going to be patient with him, but it is, becomes more of a conversation the more they score 2 runs a game.
Yeah. Next question from Dustin. The Giants continue to get 0 from their outfield. Is there anyone they can call up? Is it Bo Davidson time yet? We kind of referenced this earlier when we talked about the outfield as one of our big concerns right now for the start of the Giants season. What do we think? Other than Eldridge, can we take a peek around how our AAA players are performing, specifically any outfielders? I know Grant McCrae's down there. Drew Gilbert's down there. We talked about Barracoto this spring training quite a bit.
Technically less than 0 if you go by WAR. So,
the
guy I'm watching is Barracoto's off to a good start there. The guy I'm watching is Gilbert because he was supposed to be on this team. And they put this team together with the thought that, one of him or Eldridge would be on it. And I think he most likely him. So he's the guy I'm watching because I think he is the clean fit in center field alongside Bader. And they could really use that. I keep going back to kind of the smile that Tony had on his face when he got stuck about Jung-Hoo Lee pinch hitting and having a lefty on his bench and just how he kind of lit up talking about that. I think he wants the lefty on the bench. We know he wants Drew Gilbert on his bench. And there's something about Drew, right? Like we saw it last year. That little crazy energy
turned it all around.
It helps. So he's kind of the guy I'm watching. 789 OPS in AAA so far. Not crazy. Nothing. 389 on base percentage has been good. So nothing crazy. But I do think once he gets healthy and goes on a little bit of a run here, he's the guy that makes a lot of sense for that outfield.
Is it too spicy of a take to say I would like to see him get some Ramos starts in left?
No,
just like on a semi-regular basis.
I think with this outfield, you at some point in the next couple of weeks, if they don't get going, need to hit like, hey, none of you guys are locked into a spot here.
Yeah.
Situation. So, and we've had that conversation with Jung Hoo and like hey, you probably need to be hit against some lefties. So, yeah, I think you start getting towards the back end of April, and I throw out what happened a couple years ago with some of these guys and just go, okay, who's the best? Who's your best three every night? And part of that for me too is like, do you have is Gilbert a better fit than Bader some nights? Yeah, probably. So, yeah, I think they'll get there.
Well, I want to circle back, Alex, because this question also by name asked about Bo Davidson. Are we going to see a 2-league jump for
they're going to be slow with these prospects, but they love Bo. So,
next one from Mike. Mike's next one from Juan. Juan says, what do you guys think about Tony's bullpen management the last 2 days? This is referring to the 2 losses against the Mets. Unfortunately, I don't think it was that great.
I think, we had this one, and I think it's a good question just in general. I actually think the bullpen management's been okay. He's dealt a tough hand. So it's I think it's been okay. There haven't been a lot of times where he's, the most notable one I think was watching Killian come in to face Schwarber and Harper, and he got through it. So haven't been a lot of times where that bullpen door swung open and I've gone, what's going on here? I think there was like the Gage Baraki stuff, but I think the management's been fine. It's just it's a group that's finding its way. So,
yeah, I would agree with
some of the wins and look at like Tidwell pitching the 8th or like like some of the wins, like there's good management there.
I have not disliked what he's been doing with the tools he has at hand, I guess is the way I would put it. I know like major botch jobs stand out to me. Would be great if he had a different set of guys out there or just a bullpen that he could have certain tools that were more reliable, or even was in situations where the bullpen was more important for the past few weeks. But of all the things, I think Tony's bullpen management is the least of my concerns.
Yeah, it's kind of low on my concerns as well. I'm curious to see what it looks like when he gets more of a group and you're like, okay, these are your 4 guys. How are you going to mix and match them?
Yeah. Now, in listener Juan's defense, this is a 10-day-old mailbag question. So yeah, then maybe not Juan's top concern either right now.
Yeah, we put it here, I think, because we wanted it. Yeah, I think it's something I think continually, almost every episode we should probably hit on Tony and how it's going. So
yeah, no, that is the important part.
I think it worked well now.
Yeah. If we get a Drew Gilbert call up, I'm sure there will be a lot more Tony discussion because of their history.
Yeah, they'll have some fun.
Yeah. With that, let's kick it to Giants heading to Cincinnati, taking on the Reds. The Reds are 9-7. I believe they're in second in their division. Alex, what are the pitching matchups we're going to see?
I'll just be quick here because we're going long. But Robbie Ray versus Brady Singer, Tyler Mahle versus Rhett Lauder, and Landon Root versus Chase Burns, which is the sneaky awesome matchup.
All right.
Or Thursday.
Tune in on Thursday. Yeah, the Giants have a series of Monday off days. They're really going to be confusing for me, and maybe we need to adjust our podcasting schedule to accommodate. But yeah, it's weird seeing that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday lineup.
Yeah, though we'll adjust. We'll go after the Thursday game. So
yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, heading to Cincinnati to face another good team. Not a soft spot yet in this April schedule. But I don't know, is this what's like the one thing we're looking for? Or I guess basically we covered it in the first half. We're looking for Giants outfielders to turn it around. We're looking for Devers and the rest of the team to show a little power. We're looking for the Giants outfield to kind of figure it out, turn it around, even if that means some fine tuning is required to get it done. We're looking for Devers to start showing off at home plate, crank the power up a little bit along with everyone else. And we're looking for the bullpen to be, I don't know, not what we anticipated them to be starting this year. Is Cincinnati the place to figure that out? It doesn't seem like it's going to be an easy situation, but hey, good a city as any.
Great ballpark to hit in. I'm looking at all the hitters. I'll put the bullpen to the side because it's a rough place to pitch at times.
Yep.
Devers, Ramos, Lee, Bader, who's been in that division quite a bit. Yeah, I'm looking at, or has been in the league, played in that park a lot. I think I'm looking at all those hitters. Those are who's going to get going. Like, and it's also I just briefly looked this up as you're talking. Like, 84 degrees there tomorrow, 82 on Wednesday.
All right, beautiful day. Ball's going to carry.
Ball should carry. Great American Small Park.
Yeah,
he's going to figure it out. So, that's the only thing I'm looking at, and we'll be back Thursday. And if they're still scoring like 2-3 runs a game, it's a real issue coming out of Cincinnati.
We're going to see a great offensive series, Alex. Calling it now.
Better be. So it's better be.
All right. Well, that's today's episode of Giants Talk. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. We've got a long season ahead. Hopefully not too many down in the dumps Monday episodes as the team manages to get out of this cold streak. Until then, send us mailbag questions, leave us a review, do all the stuff, and we'll be back.